I've worked in family law predominantly for at least 25 years, and when I was in private practice, 80% of my clients were men. And 80% of my clients were men for one reason. I did not like the fact and the way that the system, in terms of family law, particularly dealt with the men. And oftentimes, we don't know just how important it is to have a male, to have a father, to have the father or a male figure taking the place of a father in our lives. And we put a lot of emphasis on motherhood, and trust me, motherhood is very, very important. Now, fathers and providers, one of the main reasons that you get a, quote, raw deal in the courtrooms is that fathers have not accepted that role as providers, as nurturers, as caretakers for your children. And you must change your attitude, and we must change the attitude and know that fathers can be caretakers and nurturers and providers as well. When I hear women say, I'm going to leave the children with their daddy and let the daddy babysit, daddies don't babysit. Daddies don't babysit. Daddies take care of their children. They're not babysitters. They are the father. All right? Yeah. And we have to change our mind and our thought process to understand that. I know with the instances of abuse and everybody thinking somebody's going to be abused, if a father bathes a child, you can bathe a child without abusing a child. You can bathe a child and touch without touching them inappropriately, all right? And so you need to learn to do that. You can put your children's clothes on without touching inappropriately, and that whole mental attitude is like, I don't want my father, their father touching them because they may do something. Not if you select the right father. The right father, see? Whether your father is going to handle your child or touch your child inappropriately, you need to learn to give that thought in advance. As I said on divorce court, look deep before you leap. Check the man out in advance. In advance. And then you know, not every man is an abuser or a sexual abuser, and we have to change that thought process. When children need to be hugged. Children need a hug, and they need a hug from daddy, and they need a hug from mommy. So daddies, hug your children on a regular basis. Teach your fathers and men how to hug their children. There needs to be some daddy time with children. Only, daddy only. Take the kids to the park. Take the kids to the playground. Take the kids to the movies. Take the kids out to eat. Just daddy time with you and your children only. Then there should be mommy time as well. But what daddies tend to do, you either tend to do it one way or the other. You either don't be involved at all, or you work so hard you don't know how to balance it. So now we have to begin what's called a balancing act. All right? Women have always been able to, because it was incumbent upon us and everybody expected us to do what we call multitask. So we got up in the mornings and we would get the children ready for school, and we would get breakfast for them, and we would drop them off at school or the babysitter. Then we'd pick them up from the babysitter. Then we'd come home in the evenings and prepare dinner. We'd feed them dinner. We'd bathe them at night. We'd read them a story, help them with their homework, and put them to bed. Men, you've got to learn multitasking. Even if you work. Even if you work. You have to encourage men to learn multitasking when they work outside of the home. When I represented a lot of men, they would say to me, I cannot take care of my children after school because I work every day, and I don't get off work till 6 o'clock. How many mothers we know went to work from 8 o'clock to 6 o'clock and they took care of the kids? That can no longer be the excuse, but what you have to do is figure it out. When it's your turn to be with the children, if you're in a divided home by divorce or never married, then you need to find appropriate child care, people to help you pick the children up after school, people to sit with the children until you get home from work, because that can happen. But if you change your mindset. Now, what I've often found in divorce court, usually that's the only time you all come before me, and we get involved in families. The only time we get involved in the court system in families' business is you're before us either in a divorce, a paternity matter, or an abuse or neglect matter. And what I discovered is that when men walk into court in a divorce proceeding or a paternity proceeding and they're asking for custody and they get upset because they don't get custody, it's because you're not ready. And the reason you're not ready is you haven't studied your child. You don't know your child. It's very important for you to bond with your child. You don't know, you can't look in your child's face and know when they have a cold or when there's an earache. You can't look in their eyes and say something's wrong. You can't listen to their voice and know that that's not normal. You can't ask them a question and they answer it, and it may say yes to the answer, but really that's not the answer. And you learn that from spending time with your children.